Hello, my name is Brittany D. I am a psychic medium and spiritual teacher. My divine purpose is to assist in the expansion of the collective consciousness and to help you become more connected with the divine. This is a space to remember all that you truly are and ignite the possibilities of your highest potential. Hello, and thank you for joining me. I feel so blessed to have you here in this present now moment. Today, I want to talk about integrity. This is probably one of the most important things in this life. And I will say that I think that it is aligning my integrity and bringing it to more importance is the reason why I have the blessed life that I do. I truly believe that in all of my heart. So by definition, integrity is the quality of being honest and having strong moral principles. How I would define integrity is aligning with divine will, aligning with the light. So this is honesty, honor, nobility, and these are all elevated emotions. And so you will create more elevated experiences whenever you operate in these elevated emotions and these elevated states of being. And so aligning with the light brings you closer to the light. And in bringing you closer to the light, that is where the miracles and the beauty that Spirit has to offer, that's where it exists. And so it's in all those little and big choices to really stay in honesty and stay in the highest divine will to access miracles and the beauty that Spirit does have to offer. I do see it a lot in business, especially in the online world. And I mean, I do see it in friends and friendships and stuff, but especially with business and in the online world, it's like, are you working for the light and the collective to serve, or are you out for yourself? And I mean, take that and even bring it into life situations or with friends and family. Like, are you in it for the highest and best of all? Or are you in it for yourself? That's where my moral compass comes from. And so I wanted to tell you guys a little story of when I realized I didn't even know that I had really high integrity. It kind of just something that naturally happened over time. You know, I didn't always have a really high level of integrity. But it happened over time as I grew and I learned. And so one time I was in a rush and I went to Qdoba to get a little Mexican burrito. They had like the Impossible meat or whatever. And I was like, okay, cool. Sounds good. It was nearby. And I went in and I got my burrito, blah, 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 and I pay for it on my credit card. And I go sit down and I start eating the burrito. And as I'm sitting there eating, I got a little notification pop up on my phone that said that this charge was declined. And I'm sitting there eating and I'm like, how was it declined? I'm sitting here eating it. Like, how is it declined? This doesn't make sense. And so, I'm sitting there and I'm like, thinking, is this just a little blessing from the universe? Is this just universe buying me a burrito or like what, but there was this questioning deep down. I'm like, no, that's really not you, Brittany. Like, even if it is a blessing from the universe, like, let's make sure that they got the option to pay, like that for you to pay for this food that you're eating before you just assume that it's a blessing from the universe. And so I finished my burrito and I went back up to the counter and there was a line and everything. And so I just came to the side because I did not want to have to wait in line. And it was a long line. And I was like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that like I got this notification that my card was declined. And I was like, but I would think it would pop up when you swiped it. So I'm really not sure, but I just wanted to like check in before I left. And they were like, oh, what? And then the manager came over and was like, hey, what's going on? And we told him, and then he pulled it up on the computer behind since they were taking, cashing out orders or whatever. And then he's like looking at it and he's like, I don't even know how this happened. I don't even know because on our end it says declined, but it says accepted and declined. Like literally on the computer system didn't make any sense. Like he's like, what? And so then I'm like, okay, and I was like, well, maybe try this card. And so then he swipes it, it goes through and it's all good. And he just like looked at me and was like, thank you for having such a high level of integrity. Like, thank you so much. And I was just trying to be honest. Like, I honestly felt like I needed to at least, be like, this didn't go through, right? Like, I know that I got this burrito, you thinking that my card went through. And so I feel like I need to tell you that it didn't go through. And I left and I went to my friend's house and I told her what had just happened. And she just like looked at me and she was like, dude, she was like, you're better than me. I would have just taken the free burrito. And then she even said, she was like, dude, he should have just gave you the burrito. Like, what? That's like so amazing of you to do that. He should have just given you the burrito. And I was like, it's not even about that. Like, it's not about the $8 or $10 or whatever it was. Like, it's really about me knowing that I walked away from that situation with no guilt, no shame. Like, I knew I was doing what was highest and best for every single being that was involved. Highest and best. Because, I mean, maybe they would have went through their transactions at the end of the night and been like, oh, wait, this didn't go through. And then somebody gets in trouble. And then it creates all this chaos, this low vibration. And like somebody might, been like, oh, this is your fault. And who knows? But all I knew is that I knew deep down that I at least had to bring this to their attention. And I couldn't walk out that door with the guilt of knowing that I needed to bring this to attention and not have done it. Like, I just couldn't do that. And I will tell you that I have made some of the most drastic, radical decisions knowing that it's in the highest integrity for me to just be really honest and real right now. And I know it's going to hurt your feelings. I know it's probably going to break your heart, but I gotta surrender to what my heart knows is honest and what I have, been doing or what I told you or whatever it may be wasn't honest. And usually those times it's because I'm not being honest with myself. I would never blatantly not be honest, but sometimes we have blind spots because we're human beings and we need healing. Like, that's just part of the human experience. We have blind spots. And then if they're revealed and our place that we weren't honest with ourselves and we weren't real with ourselves would affect someone else's life and their heart, I have made drastic decisions in order to stay in my highest integrity. It's extremely important, guys, because here's the thing, is that when you truly honor what it means to be honest and to operate on the highest timeline, the highest moral compass, the universe mirrors that back to you. And you will receive, the universe, spirit is the highest timeline. So like, whenever you don't align with the highest timeline and you know deep down that I should do this or that, It would be my highest integrity and my highest and best for all affected for me to do this or that. And then you don't do it. Dude, the ripple effect of that is never worth it. It's never worth I know it's hard and I know you have to be vulnerable and I know it takes courage and I know that sometimes you really don't want to do it, but the overwhelming amount of honor that you receive from spirit, from being your most honorable self, is worth it every time. And the ripple from living in that guilt and that shame and that knowing that I really shouldn't do this or I shouldn't have done that. And that's another thing, taking ownership. If you realize that you shouldn't have done something or you did something out of a reaction or whatever it may be, take ownership. Own it. That is part of having integrity. I remember one of my good friends, so funny, so silly. This is so silly, but it's just the truth. She posted something about Abraham Hicks and being a hater on her. And I love Abraham Hicks, okay? And my little defensive, you don't understand Abraham. You just don't get her. I unfollowed my friend. This is one of my really good friends. And I just I was total reactionary and I unfollowed her. And then she was actually at my first retreat and we were sitting on the bench, the swing outside. And I said to her, I knew I had to own it. I was like, I just want to let you know that I unfollowed you. And I'm going to refollow you. And I don't want you to be confused when it's what? I thought that you followed me. You're one of my really good friends. And so I had to own it. I had to own what I had done. I had to own that I was being reactionary. I had to leave space if that hurt her feelings or if she had anything that she needed to communicate. And that was the highest integrity that I could think of, was whenever I knew I shouldn't have done that, I had to own it and communicate, as small as unfollowing someone, or as big as screwing someone over for money or whatever it may be. You have to own it. When you clear that guilt and that shame, man, it leaves space for spirit. It leaves space for miracles. Don't want to be carrying that stuff around. And there's even more abstract things like for example, violating another person's free will. That is definitely not in alignment with integrity. Every single person has free will and has the ability to live as they please and have the boundaries and the privacy and anything they want. They are sovereign beings, whether you recognize that or not. And so, for example, if you astral travel to someone or do remote viewing without their permission or knowing that you do not have their permission, that's violating someone's free will, yo. And that is not okay. That is really, that is really bending a serious level of honesty and integrity. It is not in alignment with divine will. And so karma will always return. It will always come back. For example, let's go back to the little burrito. Who knows, even if it wasn't in this lifetime, I can guarantee you that something would have happened where I either got a meal taken from me or $10, or something comes back around to balance out that action. And so you save yourself so much whenever you just align with the highest timeline. As soon as you see it, as soon as you have awareness of it, as soon as you know, just go with the highest timeline, no matter how tough it is. It is literally always worth it, big picture, to stay in the life. Even when it gets really tough, because the highest consciousness, when you choose that timeline, you will be honored. Like that will be reflected back to you. And so I'm also seeing this like a lot in our reality, like right now, with a lot of timelines that are shifting and like things that are happening in the collective. Everyone's perception is different, and they have free will. They have the ability to perceive however they want. And they also have the ability to operate in whatever level of integrity that is their inner knowing. We're all growing and learning. Like no one is perfect. No one is better than anyone else. Whenever I was doing things that I view now, I look back now and I'm like, oh man, that was not cool, Brittany. That was just straight up not cool. Like at that time, I did believe that was in my integrity. Like I was operating from but then I learned and I grew and I knew. And then so you go back and you take responsibility. And even if you can't take responsibility to that person here in this physical life, you can energetically take ownership of that. Whatever that means for you, if that means a ritual or a ceremony or sending out a prayer or, envisioning yourself having a conversation with them, whatever it may be, you have the ability to clear that energy at any time. Now, I'm not saying to spiritually bypass. If you have the opportunity to face something and deal with something with someone, then yeah, I would definitely, this is just a Brittany recommendation. I would definitely, absolutely face those hard conversations. Then, sit in your sacred space and have the conversation etherically with their spirit. Or send a prayer or whatever it may be. But I just felt like it was extremely important for this to be talked about and this to be brought to light, because we are shifting timelines. We are being presented with opportunities to refine our integrity and say, is this really in highest and best for all? Or is this just about me and my own shit? And I will tell you that every time you make that choice, it gets easier and easier. Every time, no matter how hard it is, no matter what a struggle it is, that you choose divine will and aligning with the highest timeline, it gets easier and easier every time. It's a practice, just like meditation. But it's worth it. It's worth it. It's worth the work. It's worth any pain that you may go through, or, and going back to that, Qdoba example, at that time, I really did not have that much money. That was part of the reason why I was putting the burrito on my credit card, was because I was like, oh, I'll be able to pay this by the end of the month after my next paycheck. And I wasn't even really eating out at that time because I needed to make sure to pay all my bills and whatnot. But it was just a convenience of, I was on the other side of town and I wasn't near my house where I could run back and blah, blah, blah. And so really I was really probably even pushing it to put that not on my credit card. But it was the highest and best thing to do. So my hope for you, after hearing this and sharing my heart with you, is that the next time that you are presented with the opportunity to stay in your highest integrity, you really and truly do it. No matter how painful it may be, no matter if it makes you question or doubt a gajillion things running through your mind, always choosing the highest and best for all. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope that you enjoyed that episode. Please subscribe, leave a review, and if this was impactful for you at all, please share it with others. This is how we can help each other. Much love and namaste.